These are all newspapers that showed that the first person to walk on the moon was Neil Armstrong, all in a lot of different languages. Now, if you go all the way super close, that's the English, and I have no idea what that one is. That one's also English. So that's Cincinnati, that's St. Louis, that's Omaha, and there's a lot of others. So it's pretty interesting. And find of what.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. If you must leave during the presentation, please exit through the doors on your right. Thank you.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas, 1968, when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and to contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from a Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks, our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, Destiny is being embraced.
This is launch control. T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
सगळ्यांच्या समोर पेपर्स पण किती आहेत
We've completed our
पेपर्स
communications checks
फाईल्स
for the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We're now locking on the sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready. Spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system. That ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems are A-OK.
Okay, keep going. We're on. Ready to go to cockpit. Stand by, Walter. Okay, you're on.
All systems go.
T-minus 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Hendricks.
ट्रान्झिस्टरवर ऐकतात
We
बघ
now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All third stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come on the 60-second mark on a flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on the power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight.
ॲनालॉग कंट्रोल नाही सगळे ॲनालॉग कंट्रोल
हो सगळं अनालॉग आहे खाली पण आहे.
Everything was used
Final
by
reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still low at this time. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Fire.
successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Tim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked in that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.